last race, Timothy Flamger was on the rear end of Daly the whole race, but Daly took the win. And, well, Timothy Flamger took the fastest lap as well, but Daly took the win in Pro. Meanwhile, in Silver, Kevin Boss took a comfortable win, 6 second lead, I think it was by the end of that. And yeah, he did very well to hold on to that. Good round at Indianapolis. Well, hello and welcome to Night Owl, where we are at Imola for round four. And here with me tonight, I have Stewie on the mic this time round with Jesse only on the cameras. It's a bit weird. You're not going to hear Jesse tonight, but you're going to hear this lovely German fella called Stewie. Hello, Stewie. How are you?
Hello, Ted, and I'm really good. Yeah, tonight we're gonna do the switcheroo because usually I'm on the cams and Jesse's talking, but today we thought we'd do it the other way around. I'm excited to see the night owl races because I haven't really watched any of those, so I don't know who's quick at the moment and what's going on. So hopefully it's going to be an interesting race.
Yeah, sure is. Last three rounds have been pretty intense. Last round was pretty clean, to be fair, compared to Suzuka. It was a little bit messy, but you know they all got themselves sorted out in the end. But yeah, 18 cars on the for the grid tonight. A load of silver and a load of pros, so it's pretty even out there, pretty split. We just got qualifying underway. 15-minute quali, got 13 minutes and 17 seconds left. But yeah, so we've got a few newcomers tonight, Stewie. We've got the three-time Night Owl champion, Harry Conway, is back in the Lamborghini Evo 2, the number 28. So that's nice to see him back. We've got a few. We've got Roman Fralla has joined us in the 110 BMW M4 in silver class. I don't think that is it, but I did notice in practice that Phil Roberts, Joe Dolber, Jordan Daly and Harry Conway are all in the top four. They're all very, very close to each other. So it's going to be an interesting race today.
And I think Harry Conway decided to race like 20 minutes before the server started or something. So he didn't really have a lot of preparation for this race, I think. So if he's gonna do good today, that's quite a good feat from his side. Barely preparing and still doing good. And we're about to see the first times. Oh no, they're just half around the lap. There's a lot of triple R in this race, isn't there? There's Harry Conway, there's Daly, there's Phil Roberts. Actually, there's all of them. Never mind.
That is true. Yeah, Harry Conway running under the Triple R name. I think John Daly's under just Gamers again. He likes to run for Night Owl, and I think Phil Roberts is under the Kaiju Racing team in his yellow and blue McLaren. So yeah, they all race together in Triple R under Triple R's name here in there and everywhere if you like. But tonight they are split, but technically they are still with Triple R. That's as we know. And look at that car, lovely pink and blue fade and a bit of black on the car as well. Here, there, and everywhere. But just have to see how these drivers do. See who can get the top time. See who can do well in silver as well. I think. Pacina was up there in the practice session as we see Dolber crosses the line with a 141.5, followed by Zorik beating out Conway with a 142 dead and Conway with a 142.2. So already a silver car overtaking Conway. Some silvers following behind Conway there. So it's going to be interesting, Stewie, to see what cars are good around here. Obviously, the Mercedes is pretty good on the curbs, and this is pretty curvy track.
Yeah, I was about to say that that wasn't a very quick lap from Conway when he crossed the line, because we saw people do mid-low 41s in practice already. And I think the McLaren is going to do very well, because the new version of the McLaren, the Evo, is very good over the curbs. There were a few clips of Boothby and Jadia doing some laps here, and it's like the curbs just don't exist for this car. So I think Dauber will be doing very good, and Phil Roberts, gets a time in, will probably be up there as well. Tim Ireland also in the McLaren, so yeah, I think the McLaren will do very good next to the Mercedes.
Yeah, and obviously, if you look on the left-hand side, Stu, we've got a lot of Ferraris here. But Indianapolis, Ferraris weren't really anywhere. Jesse can tell you that one for sure. They weren't as fast as we thought they were going to be. Daly was leading out there, followed by Flanger in the Porsche. You know, the Porsche was doing really well. Flanger, I think, was at the end was only 2 seconds behind Daly. Very well drive by him. The whole way through the race was very close. So I'm hoping to see that again. Didn't see what Flanger's time was in the practice session, but that is only practice. That's not qualifying. That's not race pace. So. You know, I think people just testing out. You know, Conway just trying to get to grips with, you know, driving ACC again. I think he's doing the Spa 24 and the World Tour this year. I think Triple R might have a team in for that. So, you know, he's been away from the game for a while, not really driven too much. You know, probably had a bit of fun here and there, but it's nice to see him back. You know, I think he wants to stop Daly from, I think it was Daly or Grimm from winning. I think it's Daly from winning the Pro Championship or something like that. But yeah, it's nice to see him back.
And Flamger, while you were talking, put in a time, puts himself on P3. But even though the new Porsche is a bit better in the straight line, I think because it's Imola, that's going to be very difficult to keep the position in the first few laps with all the cars close behind. Phil Roberts still hasn't set a time yet, I would assume. Invalidations over the chicane happened there a few times. I watch Marvin Stier here come across the line, but no improvement. Quite a big gap between P12 and P13 here. 8/10, so almost a second. And yeah, between P1 and P2 in silver, it's half a second. You mentioned the Ferraris at Indianapolis not doing too well. It's actually surprising because the old Ferrari was, I think, the best car or one of the best cars at Indianapolis. So yeah, surprising that the new Ferrari isn't. And I think Flamger just crossed the line and improved again. So now only about 4/10 behind Daly there. They still have 7.5 minutes to go, so lots of time to catch up to that 40.6, which is not a bad time.
Yeah, I wonder if the Ferrari's problem was just the bob, and obviously we can see here already, Curtin, the fastest Pro and Ferrari car with a second off pace for qualifying, that is anyway. So you just have to see what the Ferrari's like here. You have to see what the bop is like for these cars around this track. When it first came out, it was a really fast car. It's normally what happens when the cars first come out. They don't really get bopped in properly. So you just sort of take it with a pinch of salt. You know, the M4 when that came out, it was flying, and what's that? Roman Frallo almost gets taken out on the straight. That was a bit close, but yeah, we just have to see what the bop's like. You know, the bop's been changing quite a lot. I think they've slowed down a bit on the bop changes. I think they're sort of getting it to how it is, and you know, every time they go to a real race, they'll change the bop for in-game to what they think is good for us to drive and stuff like that. But just have to wait and see. Harry Conway down in 10th at the minute. That's not where you want to be, sir. But Daly on top, Flamger, and then Robertson and Dolber. So he should be up there from what we saw in practice. And here he comes across the line. Let's see if he jumps up a bit. He jumps up to 7th, so he's getting there, but he's not close enough. And gets a little bonk from whoever that was in. That was Tim Island. But Phil Robertson's improved at 140.8. That's a really fast time for him. Not too far off Joe Dolber, but both of them not too far off the Daly, to be fair. So yeah, like you say, the McLaren's pretty well here. Flamger's moved up to 4th now. He's not far behind, 3 to 4 tenths away from Daly. So Porsche looking strong. And then you see the Mercedes there as well, Stewie. That's pretty strong as well.
Yeah, the Mercedes is one of these cars, as you mentioned before, that's always been good over the curbs, at least the newer version, which, I mean, newer, I think that's also already like 1 or 2 years old, but the newest one in the game anyways. We still have one car that hasn't set a time yet, and they're still in the pit, so I'm not sure if they just don't want to set a time. I think they haven't actually set a lap yet, so maybe they're just gonna start from the back, or they have some issues at the moment.
I have news on that, Stewie. There's been a problem with Kunos today, where servers are a little bit temperamental, and they got the red dot basically saying it's disconnected from server lobbies. So luckily they just got in, just turned green. They had to fix their wheel, so they dropped out and then couldn't get back in. But luckily, they got back in with 4 minutes 40. So they will start the race as long as they don't leave the server again. It doesn't affect the server as it is. Everyone can still race, but yeah, they might be able to settle out. They might not settle out. They might just try and make sure they got everything sorted and ready. But yeah, it's been a little bit wavy today with the servers, but sometimes that happens. It's just what happens with these online events.
Yeah, especially today when there's the big SRO 24 hours of Spa going on, which means all the people need to basically stay on the server the entire time, because there's a chance that if they want to get back in the car, they can't actually join the server. But yeah, fingers crossed for all the teams there and for all the drivers here that there's no further issues with that. We're watching Alan Asbury go through the last corner, and they're currently up about 3/10, so can actually improve a few positions for them. They cross the line, go from P16 to P13, and just putting one more Ferrari in the line of Ferraris, which is quite funny that all the Ferraris are just in the middle, except these the Harry Conway Lambo and the Cosina BMW splitting them up a bit. And at the moment it looks like nobody's really improving by that much. But I think because in practice the track was actually on fast, so it's possible that at the moment the track is still improving a bit. And yes, the longer the session goes on, people are able to put some quicker laps in. And yeah, the gap between P1 and P2 in silver grew a bit. Like the last time we looked at that, it was about half a second. Now it's more like 7 to 8 tenths. And Oliver Curtin crossing the line. And let's see if that's an improvement. It is not.
Yeah, close though. He was only 10th off, but it doesn't move anywhere. Obviously, it doesn't improve. But Kwiatkowski is struggling again. I've seen a lot of George Kwiatkowski struggle quite a bit. I don't know if he's just struggling with this 1.9 update. I think it was in Monday Champ, or it was Friday, maybe Friday Champ. He was down in silver, and he's qualified for pro in Night Owl this season. But it just seems like he's struggling. I don't know if it's the car. I can't remember what he took for Friday. Maybe he took the Ferrari for Friday, but I wonder if it's the car, because he's normally, at least in the top 10, he's up there with the other pros, fighting with like the likes of Phil Roberts or Timothy Flamger sometimes. He is a quick guy. I'm just thinking that Ferrari 296 is just slowing him down. It's not his cup of tea. Maybe he needs to switch to a different car. Maybe some of these guys need to switch to a different car. That's probably a bit better on the BOP, but it's just one of those things where you choose a car for a champ. Maybe it's good at the start, and the next minute it gets an update of the BOP, and then it's not very good, and then you're sort of stuck with it, and you're not having fun. But it's one of these things that you don't know that's going to happen. I don't know if you've been in that situation, Stewie, where you've chose a car, and the next minute it goes from probably one of the at least one of the best to probably one of the worst.
I mean, I would say no, because when I did like the solo champs, I was always driving the Porsche, and it was always the same. Good in quali, you're shit in the race. But actually, yeah, maybe the Audi, because we were doing the Audi in one of the endurance champs last year through the start of this year, and it was pretty good. And then was it 1.9 or was it an update before? Not exactly sure, but then stuff happened, and suddenly the Audi was almost undrivable until the next hot patch, and yeah, that was a bit annoying. But to be honest, I don't think that a lot of these drivers here can blame the BOP, because usually when we see these the cars have like slight differences in BOP, it's maybe 2 or 3 tenths, so it like mostly affects the alien drivers fighting for every tenth or thousandth even to get a good spot in qualifying or do good lap times. But yeah, when you're a second off or 2 seconds off, most of the time I'd say it's more the driving, or maybe not feeling comfortable with the car, not having a good setup, and yeah, less the BOP. And I don't think a lot of these drivers choose a car based on the BOP for Nidal, because you know it's Nidal, it's a fun champ, and you just want to maybe drive a car that you're not too familiar with and just see how it goes.
Well, that is true. A lot of them do choose them for a bit of fun. I'm just looking at some of the times. Jordan Daly just improved to a 140.355, so he's got a nice, almost half a second gap to Dolber. Dolber's still out on a lap. Roberts, Flamger, Zoric down to Malcolm. They're all in the pit lane. They're not doing another lap. Conway's still out. He's doing one. Here's Redford in third in silver at the moment. Can he get second? Can he get first? We'll have to wait and see until he crosses the line in just a second's time. And he doesn't improve. He stays in third place. Asprey is in second, I believe. Oh, apparently he did improve. He didn't advance. 140, 141.725 he got. Pretty good time still. Frado goes up into 16th. Newcomer to Night Owl this season as well. But it was still a few more cars. We've got Conway is the last car to come around. Last corner. Here he comes. Can he improve on his time?
Currently 3 tenths up, so that would put him in P7. Oh, P6 even.
Place, yeah. That's where I like to see him. But there's a silver splitting those pros up there, Stewie. Not surprising though. It is a Mercedes, and car 18, Mustang stays down in 19th place. Does improve to a 145 flat. There you go, Jordan Daly with fastest sector, Stewie. What do you say about this qualifying for these cars?
I'm actually surprised to see the BMW in the front, because I think this week, when was it, on Thursday? Or was it yesterday? The LFM Pro Series was here at Imola as well. And the BMWs were kind of struggling a bit, but maybe that's more of a race issue where they just don't have the top speed. Especially the McLarens were incredibly fast. They were going around 272 on the straight without slipstream with I think about 60, 70 liters. So yeah, I do expect the McLarens behind the BMW put a lot of pressure on Daly there. And all 3 sectors, and not even that close. In the first sector, it's 2 tenths. In the first sector, in the first sector, it's 2 tenths. Second sector is a bit closer. Third sector, a tenth. So that's pretty dominant.
Sure is. Well, there you go. There's our top 19, let's say. You see top 10. There is 2 silvers in there, but let's have a look at the standings real quick, and we'll get back onto these results in a few seconds' time. Well, here are the pro standings for you. Jordan Daly with 141 points in first place, followed by Timothy Flamger with 119. English versus the Americans, followed by the Northern Irish Grim Lilith with 96 in third place. Beamer, Porsche, Mercedes. Oh, what a fight! Unlucky. Unfortunately, Grim isn't here with us tonight, so he's going to lose a few points. But 4th, 5th, and 6th is Phil Roberts, Neil Pimlott, and Marvin Steer with 93, 92, and 81 points. 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th is Kierkowski, Matthew Malcolm, Joe Dolber, and Oliver Curtin with 74, 65, 53, and 34 points. Very split, apart from 2 cars there. They're quite close on points, but that is your top 10 in pro. Let's have a look at the next lot of cars. You got Augusto and Conway, both on 0. Conway has obviously joined for tonight's race, so that's why he has no points. And everyone else has either signed out the championship or signed out of tonight's race. Stewie, what about the silver standings?
Yes, the silver standings. Adnan Pusina leading with 127 points, and then we have Kevin Boss and Mike Radford on 121 points. So it's still very close here in the top 3. Only 6 points between P1 and P2. And P4, Ivo Zuricic, not that far behind. Also only 6 points. So everything still open here. Inigo Lopez also just 2 points behind. On P6, Tim Ireland, 84 points, followed by Bran Jones with 81 and also 81 points, Sahil Mustak. And then on P9 and P10, Lee Kettle and Joshua Devonshire with 68 points, and Joshua actually with 0 points. So maybe also one of the drivers that joined mid-season. And then everybody on this page with 0 points either hasn't had the best races so far or also joined later this season, and everyone with a dash has already signed out of the championship.
Yeah, Joshua definitely didn't have a very good race at Indianapolis. It did tell us that he felt a danger to other drivers and he retired from the race, which I think is a very nice sportsmanship sort of thing to do, Stewie. When you're not having a great race, you've probably been there where you've not had a great race with the car's not felt great, and you just sort of like, well, I'm pretty much a danger. But I don't know if you've decided to retire or not, but. Have you been in that situation where the car isn't great and you just can't get to grips with the setup, or something's wrong with the car and you just don't know what's wrong?
I don't think I've signed out of a champ so far, at least not an RCI champ. I think I've signed out of 1 or 2 champs in other races because it was just not the car. It was just the champ was a bit maybe disorganized or for whatever reason. Definitely not the car. Yeah, I don't think I've ever signed out of a champ. And especially because when I do my solo racing, I'm always in the same car. There was never really an issue of the car being weird or not feeling great. So no, I haven't.
Well, fair enough. It's just some of us that struggle sometimes with the cars, but yeah, I've had it sometimes where just the car doesn't feel right. I have that thing in ACC where sometimes in the practice session I have all the grip I want, and then in the race, it's just I don't have the grip that I had before. So I don't sign out of the races. I try and finish the races. I try and, if I start one, I try and finish it. Even if I don't get any points, I'm just there for a bit of fun. That's all we do racing for, really. At the end of the day, unless it's for money, the esports stuff. But I've never got to that level. And like you, Stewie, you've done some stuff like that for RCI for us. Yeah. And from in my ear, Jesse just said you've won money before, Stewie. What's that like to people who don't do the esports stuff? Um, what's going through your head? Is it like a normal race, or is it a bit different?
I mean, I wouldn't call myself an esports driver, even though I've taken part in esports champs, because I'm still far off the actual alien pace. But yeah, we've done the, I think, OTL champ. It was. They've organized some British GT races where I've driven the M6 together with Martin Lawrence, and we've got a few P2s and P3s because on P1 there was usually Boothby and I think it was Koretskas were usually winning the races. And yeah, it wasn't a lot of money. It was, I think, £20 or something per race that we've got. But yeah, we've collected all of that, and that enables us to take part in champs that require an entry fee. So wasn't a lot, but it was for a good cause, let's say that. And yes, these were just normal races, because you asked that as well. Nothing really special about them. It's not like this was the finale of the VCO whatever thing. So there wasn't really any pressure on us to win.
Well, it's nice to hear what from. Okay, you don't say you don't want to call yourself esports, but me and Jesse do, because you are a pretty fast guy when it comes to the racing. Jordan Daly's in the team as well. He's got quick over the years. I remember when me and him were in Night Owl in the AM class. And then we switched over into silver, and then for a lap we moved up to pro, and that's where everything really kicked off. But it's just nice to hear that it's not that much different from when you do a race like this. Obviously, Night Owl is where we sort of we let our hair down, and the drivers, although got to be sensible, can't be silly. This is not Wreckfest. This is a racing at the end of the day with a minimal contact as you can. But they get to chill out. Obviously, some guys at the front, like Daly, Dolber, Roberts, Flamingo, and Conway, will probably not chill out as much. And I know Phil will be definitely sweaty by the end of this race. But it's nice to hear that it's not that much different. It's just the speeds are different, the setups are different, and And obviously strategies are different. You'd have other people behind you that do the strategy who aren't racing. I know we have a few people that do that for you guys sometimes, and help you out with the sign-ups and stuff. Whereas this is you do this on your own. You head over to our website and you go racerci.com and you can sign up to any championship you want, and you don't need anyone else to help you. Just do that yourself. But yeah, it's just nice to hear. But here we are.
I mean, it's probably going to be different if you are like one of the bigger esports teams who actually get paid for doing that, and I'm pretty sure they feel a bit more pressure on doing good, doing well, representing their sponsors and things. But while we are driving under RCI esports, we're not under any pressure to do good to stay in the team or something. So it's a pretty relaxed thing as someone shoots a duck in the background. Nothing to worry about.
It's funny how we still have that little sound bug with ACC every now and then. All that noise is it's just a tire pop. Apparently, it's just a tire pop. But I've never heard a tire pop like that in the game. And I think what the bug does is it just shoves the volume so high. And when you're racing, I've had it when you're going through a chicane. It's not fun because it does blow your ears out a little bit. You don't hear anything else. You just hear this massive bang, and it's quite scary. But it's still funny that we still have that bug.
The tire popping in the game actually doesn't have barely any sound.
No, it doesn't.
I've had that, I think 1 or 2 months ago, where we did a spa race, and we've driven the same tire for 2.5 stints, I think, and then 2 laps before the end of the race, it popped and there was no sound.
Yeah. It's a weird thing, but from what I've heard, it is a tire pop sound apparently, but who knows? But anyway, second to last corner, they're all going into their slots now. They are told to do so to the last corner. Can Daly get a good start? Can Dolber catch him? Can Flamger come out of nowhere in that Porsche? We'll just have to wait and see. Only a few more 100 meters to go, and this race kicks off with 19 drivers, pro and silver. But it's a little bit of a walk up to the start finish line. It's too long sometimes, but at least it's not as long as the Indianapolis pit lane as we saw last weekend. That was not great for some of the drivers that had to do 2 pit stops. But anyway, here is the race.
And we're still going and waiting for the green flag here. You can see the lights on the left red, and this is it. This is the green flag. Gonna come up on the first corner in a bit. We have Joe Dauber already goes side by side there with Jordan Daly, and let's hope they all get cleanly through T1. It's usually one of the most dangerous corners here on this track, and looks like everybody got through there without any issues. We're only 19 cars, but still. And at the front here we have almost a 3 wide into the left-right combination here, going into the hairpin, and still clean as Sawijic goes off a bit on the sand there, and makes Harry Conway evade him a bit.
I have no idea, but 19 cars, they can still go 2 wide, 3 wide. It's just trying to find that gap and just trying not to get squeezed out. Like Harry Conway is now losing some time on Curtin, and just dropping back a bit, but it's still 58 meters of the race to go. This is still on lap 1, and still not finished lap 1, so just have to wait and see. But if Pim not going to try and go 2 wide through the chicane here, it's not going to make it, I think. But yeah, 6 behind that Ferrari there of Matthew Malcolm, that white Ferrari. Can't miss it. It is bright white, but all in all, pretty good going. And Jesse tells us there was 1 contact, but nothing too crazy. Just a little bit of a door bang. Here you go. Daly, Dolber, and Roberts have sort of got a 2-second gap away from Flamger. They just got to keep in the toe of each other, and they'll be good to go. And Flamger, he's going to struggle in that Porsche. Just have to wait and see if we can get them in the corners.
Quite a few big gaps are already opened here. The first one, as we could just see, between Roberts and Flamger. And then between, I think it's Flamger and Suicic, there's also almost a second of a gap already. So even though it's only one lap, we can already see some kind of pace difference here between these cars as we ride on board with Oliver Kirton following Harry Conway. The small train to in the front. It is actually Flamger here. And yeah, if Suicic, Conway and Kirton can close up the gap a bit until the start and finish straight, it's going to be very hard to Flamger to defend against these, because in the slipstream, the Merc and the Lambo and the Ferrari are not slow cars, especially when there's a Porsche in front. So Flamger has to do everything he can in the middle sector to gain time, so that the gap is big enough on the straights. I think at least if it's comparable to the old Porsche, as long as the cars behind are about 5 to 6 tenths behind, then you're safe. But everything below, don't really have any chance to defend it into T1. As Phil Roberts is very close behind Joe Dauber still, but they already lost a second to Jordan Daly here, so that's a bit surprising, as they both have a bit of the wiggle there on the exit, and this is the chance for Phil Roberts to make the move. Maybe looked like he was gaining a lot on the start, but then now look at this. This looks like one of these guys, and by one of these guys I mean Joe Dauber, barely has any wing on the car, while Phil Roberts might have a bit more, because Joe Dauber was driving away from Phil Roberts in the slipstream.
Yeah, well, it's pretty surprising that. Just, there you go, 2-second gap to Daly. Well, where's Conway going? Oh no, he's at the end of Conway's race. He has stopped in the grass, straight back to the pit lane. Is that Ori, 3-time Night Owl champion, already out with this race? That is pretty surprising and very unfortunate for Conway there, but don't know what happened. Unfortunately, I don't think we were able to see it, but yeah, Daly and Dolber, 2-second gap. Flamger to Zoric, 2-second gap as well.
And Phil Roberts still fighting for P2 here with Joe Dauber, and it looks like they lost a lot of time on this lap to Jordan Daly, because when we were watching them cross the line, it was about a second, or maybe that's from the last corner exit. So not sure. Maybe that, or they lost more time fighting on this lap. As you can see, Roberts here getting very close to the back of Joe Dauber. But as we already know from last lap, I don't think we're gonna see a move here from Phil Roberts on the straight, because yeah, just way too slow to catch up and actually get side by side. Flamger behind, also not really able to stay with them, but still a bit quicker than the cars behind. So at the moment, it looks like we're getting these small groups of cars that are just yeah, gonna drive and try to not make any mistakes. But yeah, with Conway taking the exit there before T1, that braked up kind of all the fights that we had at the moment.
Yeah, sure as. There's a few gaps here and there. There's a few people still fighting with each other, still in their slipstreams. But, you know, with Imola, you sort of just want to stay in the slipstreams and wait until someone makes a mistake. You know, you don't want to make any mistakes of your own. Curbs are pretty tough. You know, with the second chicane is, you know, cut curbs and stuff like that. It just sends you off, and you lose a lot of time if you bounce off one of these anti-cut curbs. So you just want to sort of get into a rhythm and chill out a little bit. Still 53 minutes of the race to go. Anything can happen.
And here we are on board with Roberts again, very close behind Dauber. We've seen this a couple of times now. But what is Phil supposed to do to get by Dauber? All he can do is just put on pressure, hope that Dauber makes a mistake, preferably way before the start-finish straight, because if, let's say, Roberts gets by Dauber in the chicane, and then Dauber is just a few tenths behind Phil, I don't think Phil has any chance to defend that, seeing as right now the gap is just growing on the straight. And yeah, Phil should be quicker everywhere else, but he just can't pass him. So in a way, Phil just made his Mecha a Porsche.
Well, that's not something you see every race, is it really? But yeah, just looking at the weather as well. It's just cloudy at the minute. I heard there should be, well, there was some rain in the practice during the week, so we just have to keep an eye on the weather there. But temperatures are still okay as well. 23 ambient and 30 track, so it's not too crazy at the moment for this race. Pretty nice conditions for the drivers just to drive around in. But also we see Redford is in the pit lane as well. Not sure what happened with Redford though.
I just had a look at what happened to Conway, and he just stopped on the road and drove to the side. So this might have something to do with the pit requirements not matching up what was planned. So maybe Ted can say more to that, since Ted is running night old, so we might have a race restart, and that also means restarting the server. So we're gonna have a bit of a downtime as we fix the pit stop that should actually be there.
Yeah, sure. We're gonna do a quick jig around of stuff. It will only take us a minute or so to do.
And here we have a replay of the first corner of all of these cars getting through T1 very cleanly. And apparently there was a contact, but it must have been a very minor one, because we didn't see anybody go off track or struggle with grip a bit. And I think most of these guys have either the chat disabled or don't believe in the race restart, because they're still racing here. And Flammy actually getting close now to Phil Roberts with the fastest lap as well. So maybe in the next start we have, Flamga has already memorized his pace from now, and we will actually see a closer fight here for the 2, 3, and 4. But yeah, at the moment we're just waiting for the server to restart. So we can't see the chat in game here, so I'm not exactly sure if all of these drivers know already that the race will be restarted. Redford also out of the pits again, and we just assume that Harry Conway went into the pits because he knew that there should be a pit stop. And I think we need to do a few minutes of comms pause, because I need to help Ted fix the server, and I can't really do multitasking that well. So just bear with us as we go silent for just a couple of minutes.
Well, sorry for the long-awaited break we had, unexpected break, but we have got our stuff sorted now. Just had one thing to sort out on the back end that decided to break for the race and didn't really notice it until 5 minutes into the race. But well, you'll have us for another extra 20 minutes tonight. Lucky for you, maybe not lucky for some others, but everyone is in their qualifying order and ready to race, and we'll have a pit requirement this time around. That was what we were waiting on and we were missing, and we will get to that as they do, I guess, the formation lap. I will let you in on it, since that was the problem, but for now everything is fine. But just in that little break, Jesse was surprised of how many songs that we've never heard before, and well, I haven't heard before. There's quite a lot of songs we have that we just haven't heard while doing in the RCI streams, and it was quite nice to hear some different ones. But yeah, Jesse was losing his marbles over those different songs that were coming on. But yeah, things broke, things fixed. We do that at RCI, and it's only now that things break. They always do. We've had it many times before where where things just decide to stop working when you want them to work, and especially being this late at night for me, and especially Stewie, he's an hour ahead of me. Not for Jesse living in America, but for us like in the European area, we sort of get a little bit tired and it takes us a little bit longer to do stuff and realize what is broken. But the drivers knew before I did, before I saw, and were shouting at me, and I was like, well, I don't know what's broken, but we have it fixed, and now they can be quiet and race. And luckily, Harry Conway is obviously back in this race as well, and Mike Redford came into the pit lane due to a pit. But yeah, as we see one car going to the pit lane, not sure why. Joe Dolber there is just teleported. Oh, he's missed the start. That's what he's done. He's missed press drive. So that will be a position filled by Phil Roberts.
I think Dauber's doing that on purpose, because he did say on Discord, pit lane start for the LOLs. So it's kind of a shame, because I was just about to mention that in the pre-race chat, Dauber and Roberts were actually talking about what we witnessed in the last start, which was the massive speed difference on the straight between these two. And Roberts saying to Dauber that he should maybe add some wing to his car. But unfortunately, we won't be able to witness that again in this start, because Dauber will be starting from the pit lane.
I did hear you.
Yeah.
I did hear you talking about that while I was trying to sort out what was happening with this race, but yeah, very surprising how he started from the pit lane. But all the drivers were saying, "Give me the rain." So obviously there was rain in the practice servers during the week, and there's no rain again. And the weather I set up for this race was one of those 50-50 of you could get a 50% of a dry race or 50% of a either mixed or sort of more wet of a race. I haven't seen any of these sessions that these guys have been talking about, or obviously they want the rain, but I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on what the weather was like. Right now I can comment, it's pretty nice, pretty chill. Obviously not what the drivers want, which is very surprising, Stewie. Me in particular like to have a dry race, as I can see there as well. Pierre Cassie is in the pit lane in the 212.
That's a bit weirder, because they either they had an issue and had to go to the pit lane now, or they also want to start from the pit lane, but then they decided that pretty late. And we've had the confirmation from Dauber in the YouTube chat that they're not going to sweat this race, and also that they're on zero wing, which seems to be the current meta for the McLaren, because in the LFM Pro Series that I've talked about before, the quick guys in the McLaren were also wanting a zero wing setup, and it seems like the McLaren just doesn't need a wing at the moment to have downforce, which is a bit weird, but that's how it works at the moment. And what this does here now with Dauber in the pits is put Flamger in P3. And hopefully we will have another clean start and clean first lap as we've had the last time. Now with 2 cars less. So, yeah, Ted, time for the green flag.
Yeah, second time for the green flag. We still got to run up the pit lane of the race. Say, yeah, pit requirements this time round for round 4 Imola is 1 mandatory stop with a tyre change required, 1 litre of fuel required, and a 45-minute pit window this time round instead of the 57. So tyres and fuel. I just have to see if they half fuel. Should think they would half fuel and take the tyres. As we go green, green, green for the second time round, night out round 4 at Imola. Daly gets a good start, followed by Flamger is getting up alongside of Phil Roberts there. Backs off sensible for the first corner. As I see that Mercedes is now up into 4th place from the 175, and where is Conway following right behind in the Lamborghini? Everyone else is fighting too wide, coming up to the second chicane. There is a yellow flag already from the 91. I believe that is.
It was definitely the 91, and that would be Marvin Stier. But I don't actually think there was any contact, so maybe they just hit the curb a bit too hard in one of the first corners there.
Yeah.
The standings at the moment still a bit wrong, because Kwiatkowski is obviously not leading the race, starting from the pits. And by the looks of it, at least compared to last time we started, the first 3, actually everybody is way closer than last time. So maybe we're going to see some more fights this time. And what we're also going to see is the Merc being way closer behind Flamger. So yeah, I think Flamger is going to have a harder time this time around.
Yeah, well, they've had a practice start already, Stewie, so they should be all right following each other this time around. As we see Pimlott right in the back of Oliver Curtin, followed by Malcolm, Redfern, Asprey, and Lopez, all in the Ferraris. Poor guy is stuck in an Italian train in the German BMW, but just have to see what he does. He was very good last time round at Indianapolis, so obviously he was okay here at Imola, but yes, it's just a Ferrari train right there. Missing Kwiatkowski though. He's right at the back of the pack. Obviously down to the pit lane, but let's see what those guys do. See what their strat is. Obviously, Dolber doesn't want. He says he can't be bothered sweating it, so he's going to take it chill. Obviously, probably a bit annoyed that the race got restarted and tried his hardest on the first start, but these things happen. You know, it is what it is, but. Yeah, these silver guys are fighting. Tim Island's trying to hold off Sahil Bustak in the Honda. And you want about the McLaren being zero wing around here. I remember when the Honda, I raced it once here. I think it was EWC, the first EWC I did with Tom Bryan and one of his teammates. And we ran. Well, I found out that you could run the lowest wing. I think it was 0 or 1. Can't remember. I think it was 0, and you still had all the rear grip. It was very weird. And then they decided to patch it halfway through the champ, and you couldn't really do that anymore. But yeah, the amount of grip I would say is you know, if it's 0 wing, it'd be the same as a Honda for the McLaren right now. And it's very weird. You have all that straight line speed, you still have all that grip. It's a very weird thing to get your head around, because obviously normally for the rear grip you have a little bit of wing on, but yeah, very weird thing to have right now.
Yeah, I mean, at this point we're kind of used to some mind-bending physics in this game, be it due to oversight on Kuno's part or just some bugs that could be caught. And I did have a look at what happened to the 91. We might have a replay for it, we might not sure, but there was a 3 wide and they got unfortunately pushed into the wall, B41 even. I think it was between the 962 and the 110, who then led to the 91 getting off track into the wall. And we did watch Conway here make the move on the 175, and I hear in my ear that we do have a replay. And we don't have a replay. So,
yes,
and we do.
do.
And we do have a replay.
This is just teasing us, doing. That's
So,
what it is.
this is the Ferrari.
Broken,
Yeah, the 962 here, getting in contact with the BMW, who then got in contact with the Audi 91, and there was even a fourth or fifth car involved in that. So, yeah, not as clean as the first start. As we go back to P3 here, Timmy Flamga, who a bit of a loose car here over the chicane. And we already see the gaps got a bit bigger. And this looks very similar to the first time we did this, except one McLaren missing. So we go on board with Neil Pimlott chasing Suicic here, who at the moment doesn't really have any pressure because the next car in silver is Mike Redford, and yeah, there's 3 cars between them. But looking at the speed here, as I suspected, the BMW not mega quick here, even in the slipstream. Seems to be catching up, but not close enough to actually make a move into the first corner. So for now, no real change in positions in the top 5, but there is a change, and that is Inigo Lopez getting passed by, was that another Ferrari? Asbury. So they must have changed positions before already, because Lopez is still behind Asbury, and maybe just too wide over the start-finish line, which put them in the standings as we saw them. And this is Curtin behind Pimlott.
Yeah, Pimlott last lap got round Curtin at the same time as Conway got past Zurich, so 2 cars moving up there for both in the pro category. Getting around a silver now. If I was a 175 and the cars behind them catching me, sort of move out a little bit, let them go in front. Obviously, the reason being is there is only points in class and not points overall. So Zurich doesn't gain any more points being ahead of, you know, these 3 pros that are catching him up. It's just more of a buffer to Redford there. But he can do what he wants. He doesn't have to give way. It's up to him if he wants to, you know, if it's his strategy just to let them through and take their slipstream. If he's getting pressured too much by Pimlott, as you can see, Pimlott's all in the rearview mirror. If it's helping him, sometimes it helps drivers to have someone behind them. It helps push them, but you know, some it makes them a little bit uneasy, and you know they're always watching the rearview mirror, and then they start making mistakes. So it's tough to see how the 175 plays this out. Very, you know, but I mean, like you said, Stewie, the M4's not really catching this. This Mercedes with its V8 is just plowing down the straight, as we know they do. You know, M4's a little bit better in the corners. The Mercedes not so, you know, it's not the worst, but obviously it's a heavy car. It's more of the speed it's good at, as you see Pimlott right there, right behind him. You know, just saying, hi, I am here. Can you let me through in a minute? Curtin is really catching me, but just have to wait and see. There you go. Pit window is open. 45-minute of a pit window is there. So it's not as early as the pit windows we've had before this season and last season. But I thought I'd spice it up a little bit, throw them off guard to what they normally used to. Yeah, a 1 litre of fuel and a tyre swap, Stu. So just to see what their strategies are.
I would assume with the tyre stop, everybody's going to be around the 30-minute mark to make the pit stop, to have the least amount of fuel in the car at any point in time. As we're getting very close here between Pimlott and Suicic, but I don't think Pimlott can actually get by him that easily. There needs to be a bigger mistake by Suicic. And let's see on the straight. I think that's closer than we've seen Pimlott be the past few laps. I don't think it's going to be enough, but it might be. Maybe there's even going to be some pushing from behind from the Ferrari, but looking at this gap, Ferrari even slower here. And now we see it, BMW going for the sand on the inside in T1 and braking very late, going a bit wide, but then actually making it. So well done for Pimlott here, making the move, although I do think that Suicic didn't really try and fight it too much, because they know as well that they're fighting for the silver points here. And we saw Curtin there in the background go a bit wide on the on the sand on the exit there out of the first chicanes. So they're not going to be close to Suicic anytime soon. And here we have Dauber, and they started from the pits and already made it 3-4 positions up. A bit hard to tell because I think 2 or 3 of these cars behind them were actually involved in the incident before the T1 in lap 1. And they're currently behind Team Ireland, who they should make pretty easy on the pass here, being that one of them is pro and the other one is silver. And you can see that Team Ireland not really fighting that move here from Dauber.
Yeah, pretty sensible from Tim just to let Dauber through. Obviously, you know, Dauber is a lot faster. No, there's no offense to Tim. Just you know, different class, different speeds. You know, Tim is, you know, he's raced with us a lot. He is a good driver. But Dauber's just, you know, one of those guys that is really fast and been in IL a long time. And you know, the 91 here, damage from the beginning, is in the pit lane. I wonder if he's going to come back out. We just have to wait and see. I've been here quite a while. No movement as of yet. No retirement as of yet. Just still sat there. But he's been in there a while. I wouldn't have thought he would have got that much damage. Oh, there you go. He's completed his stop. He's now moving as Jesse decides to pan away onto Redford there, but he is continuing. But there we go. See him coming down pit lane to the exit where he can put his foot back down.
Yeah, he must have had quite a bit of damage then.
Very weird to see. Very weird to see someone sat in the pit lane for that long of a time. You don't really see that much damage nowadays.
They did hit the wall quite hard, and I think they hit both walls. First they got pushed into the left side wall, and then they hit the other wall. And I think like one of the highest damages you can get in ACC would be like 2-3 minutes. I don't recall seeing much more. While we are watching Stier there in the pits, Curtin actually made the move on Suicic, also in T1, very similar to how Pimlott got by. We didn't see that on stream, but it happened. Here we have Redford now behind Pusina, and it looks like Redford eager to get by the BMW as well here. So it's going to be interesting to see on the straight now how the speed looks between the Ferrari and the BMW. I think the new Ferrari also not one of the fastest cars, as we switch to Flemger here behind Phil Roberts. And this is going to be a very interesting fight because as we know, Phil Roberts running quite a lot of wing on that mecha and not being the quickest on the straight. So that might be one of the best cases here for Flemger, or the best cars to have in front of him, because he can actually make a pass on the straight, maybe. We will see how that turns out, but at the moment, just following Phil Roberts very closely, trying to wait for the mistake.
Yeah, well, just looking back at the qualifying results with Daly and Roberts, Daly in first and Roberts was in third, and Dolber in the middle, but it was a half a second gap from Roberts to Daly, and just looking there, they got at least, what was it like, there you go, 4.2 second gap already, 7 laps into the race three. Daly is obviously ploughing along. His last lap was a 141.2, Phil's was a 141.8, and Flamger's was just then a 141.2, so Flamger's got the speed over Phil. Obviously Phil's quality was really good, but his race pace around here is not as what we would have expected. There you go, Daly go down the hill already, down into second to last corner, but yeah, just Flamger's just taking the slipstream from Roberts, and Roberts isn't really catching on Daly, so just have to see if the fuel's different in those cars. Has Phil got full fuel? Even though he's still going to have to do a 30-second stop because of the tyres, but is he going to try and go as long as he can to the end of the pit window? Is Daly half fuel, so that's why he's faster? Things we don't know as of yet.
Maybe. I wouldn't expect them to run full fuel. I think it's more of a case that maybe Phil has a slightly different setup for the race, and and the qualifying, or the car just behaves very differently on a half tank, and that's why he can't really go the same relative pace to what he did in the quali. But here we are watching Dauber come back from the pits and hitting the curb a bit wrong there, almost going off track, but still catching it. And we see Kettle just pull off to the side and let Dauber by. Another case of Silver versus Pro and not losing unnecessary time. And let's have a look at the lap times that Dauber is doing at the moment, and that is 41.6. So yeah, he would be right behind Phil Roberts and Timothy Flamger at the moment by pace. And this is the Honda of Mustang. Not sure if there was any contact, especially this section of the track. Oh, we have a replay.
I'm gonna say
I think that. Yeah, that's what I would assume as well.
Oh yeah, just lifted the car wrong. Maybe he's running this stiff roll bars on that, making it so when they hit the anti-cut, just lifted it up a bit too much, got the foot down, span the wheels, and just slid like that. But luckily, he didn't hit anything. That's the main thing about any race, really, isn't it, Stewie? Just don't hit things or other people, and you should be okay. And you could try and get back into the race. As I say that, going through Aqua Minerali the wrong way, off the tarmac, but back on again. Just have to see how they do. We've seen this driver a few times in Night Owl, in the silver class, but not the greatest of finishes. But finishing the race, that's the main thing of racing, is finishing. So we have another race replay, another one. Look at these race replays. This is Redford and Asprey coming into Ackerman halfway. Oh, hello. That was a send and a half, but doesn't really make it work. Both drivers losing at least 2 positions there. Asprey just sending it really hard. And it's not really somewhere where you would send that there. Would you, Stu? Really, going back up the hill, you want to take the apex because it's pretty tricky. You can lose a bit of traction if you get it wrong. You want to take the apex on the right hander and then hit the left side as you exit. But Asprey said no. Said to Redford, no, you're not having that apex.
Yeah, I feel like this also could have just been a case of being in behind the car, not really seeing the brake markers or anything, and just missing the brake point, because usually that's not one of the corners, as you said, where you try to do a move on another car. And the rejoin of these two guys also looked very dangerous there, but luckily nobody else involved. And we have another replay. This is Redford again. Ooh. And we're having a big slide there.
Save.
And what we could mention at this point is track limits on this track are very strict.
Yeah.
And in the last 30 seconds, I think I've seen 2 or 3 cars already that might have gotten one of the warnings here. And what do you think, Ted? How many drive-throughs for track limits are we going to see today?
At least I say 3, because Monday Champ we did here, which was the BMW Academy. We used all the BMWs that were in the game, apart from the M6, unfortunately. But we did the M4 GT3 round here, and I got a drive-through, funny enough, for track limits, Stewie. I didn't do very well. I got 2 within the first 10 minutes, and then I got another one with 20 minutes to go. So it's so easy to get them, especially if you're trying to use all the track too much. You can get one here, you can get one down in the exit of Aqua, you can get one at the next chicane. You basically get one at any corner, and it will just jump out at you like that. I think Harry just got one then. That is a track cut right there. Harry just showing us where they are, but they're very easy to do. I'm saying at least 3 track cuts, but yeah, but. I think though, Stewie, this is where one of our lovely partners, Driver 61, really comes into play. And if you've never heard of them, well, here you go. Driver 61 is helping sim racers fulfill the potential on the track, from one-on-one driver coaching to full driver courses. The folks over at Driver 61 help thousands of racers find their craft and untapped potential. And they also, a few of our staff have used it as well. I believe Jesse has used it, and he said it last. The previous students as well, that they're very good, and they're very in depth. They help you along and just help you with your racecraft. You're driving within track limits, and you know, where you should push and where you shouldn't push, and all that sort of stuff. And you guys at home can get 25% off driver coaching by using our discount code RCI coaching D61. So head over to their website. Should be in the description below, I would say. driver61.com, I believe. And yeah, it will stop you from getting track limits, especially at Imola, which is very hard not to do, especially when you're pushing like these guys.
Yeah, and back to the action here. We have Harry Conway watching at from the back from this Lamborghini, and there is a very angry BMW and Ferrari behind. And this is maybe another track cut, as we've seen very wide line there. And the thing is that these white lines also lose a lot of time on this short straight, and that put Pinot even closer behind, and Curtin as well. I think we're gonna see some two rights on the next straight before T1 if they can keep this gap that close. And not sure if maybe made a mistake, because a few laps ago there was definitely a bigger gap between these three, and now it's very close. And here we are, watching from Oliver Curtin, who seems to not be able to really catch up to the BMW. In fact, they're driving away from him, but maybe we will get a good view on the BMW trying to make a move on Conway, which is also not happening. So for another lap, most likely, positions are going to stay the same as one of them makes a big mistake. But yeah, fight for P4 here. And Flamger not too far ahead, but Flamger lost a lot of time to Roberts. If you remember, a few laps ago, Flamger directly behind Phil, and now there's 1.5 seconds between them.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Phil, Conway was 3 seconds behind Flamger, now only 2 seconds, so they are catching. You know, Flamger isn't like dropped off of Phil, you know, is back there, not in the slipstream. Phil going really wide. That is a track cut right there if he didn't lift enough. But you know, Daly's gone, almost a 7 seconds difference. Daly will probably pull out a pit stop by the end of this race, but yeah, Conway, Pimlott and Curtin all fighting for that 4th place. Might even be 3rd place if Flamger drops back even more. Just have to wait and see. Just what's that? 3 different manufacturers now, maybe a 4th one if the Porsche gets involved. It's pretty nice to see on a Saturday night out. See Mustak is in the pit lane as well. But Zurich in silver is still got a 5.1 second gap to Lopez. Obviously, Redford dropped back due to the contact he had earlier on with Asprey, so that has knocked him out of contention for a 2nd or 3rd. But Pacina has just done their fastest lap of a 42.480, so they are catching up in the M4. Can they get a 3rd place? They need to get 2.2 seconds back on Lopez, get back into that slipstream of that Ferrari, and just have to wait and see. But hearing in my ear, Jesse asking, what are those lines? I don't know, Jesse, that was a bit close to the wall there. Definitely not the line you should be taking on that main straight, but who knows, might be the new strat. Maybe driver 61 strat. You never know, you just have to wait and find out.
I don't know. Maybe they were just going for the weird slipstream lines, or trying to optimize the shortest distance on the straight. But we are back here in the fight for P4, and Pimlott did try to make a move on Conway in T1 this lap. They were shortly side by side, but it wasn't enough. And at the moment, Conway not making any big mistakes, but I think they did lose some time again to Flamger here. And you see both of these cars very good over the curbs in the chicane. And yeah, Pimlott just can't get close enough, it seems, to make any moves. We can see him go wide a few times here in this corner, trying to say to Conway, hey, I'm here. Maybe be a bit careful. I'm going to make the move when I can. And let's see, another straight, another Ferrari not being able to catch up, but the BMW catching up to the Lamborghini. And will we see a move here? They are going too wide, but it's not going to be enough. It's very close here in T1, almost a touch, but yeah, Pimlot just not being able to make it stick.
Yeah, and then there's Curtin having a look now as well in the Ferrari, looking on the inside. Yeah, decides to back off it. That's a very simple idea. I've flown over these curves here. There's a GIF is on Discord of me and the Audi, and I fly over and my rear end is at least 5 feet off the ground. Definitely not something I want to do. We've also got a track good for that as well. Oh, I love track goods from there. But Redford is now in the pit lane as well, as you see on the left-hand side of your screen. Just noticed as well, Lopez has overtaken Matthew Malcolm for overall position, not for points though. But that's something I did not expect either. But Zorix in the 175 still has a 5.6 second gap, so you know, doesn't need to worry too much, but doesn't need to relax either. Not like Daly with a almost a 7.8 second gap to Phil, where he's, you know, he's got fastest lap, he's leading the race, and he doesn't really need to worry too much. He just needs to not get track cuts. And I think a few of these guys here who we are watching now, they've probably got a few under their belt. And you know, 34 minutes left of the race, you think, oh, they'll be fine. Well, if you already have one more and you get a drive-through penalty, as we see here, Pimlot diving into the pit lane thinking, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to do a pit and get some fresh rubber. So maybe a sensible strat. I'm not too sure. I've tried this before, following someone and then pitted in, and then not got a great pit. You know, in ACC, Stewie can agree with me on this one. It is a pain to get into your pit box perfectly every single race. And you can easily just not be that far enough forward. It decides to drag you forward and then lift you up, and you know that can waste a few seconds, can't it, Stewie?
Yeah, no, and also usually the person that does the overcut has a slight advantage. It all depends on how much time is between the two pit stops. Of course, if you pit a few laps earlier, as we see, I think that's Tim Island going a bit wide there, missing T1.
That's gravel, mate.
But yeah, fortunately, nothing happened. Just lost the position. But yeah, as I was saying, so you see a replay of that, and didn't quite see what happened. But I would say just taking the curb. Yeah, either missed the brakes or just taking the left-hand side curb a bit too much and then going straight. But yeah, if there's a big gap between your pit stop and the pit stop of the other person, then obviously if you pit first, you're gonna have a few laps of fresh rubber, which can give you quite a good advantage. But if the other person just pits directly after you, usually due to the fact that they had one more lap on, say, decent pace, and you have your out lap, they come out ahead of you in the pits, and then you're stuck behind them while their tires are still warming up. So we will see if it will work out for Pimlot, and if Conway is actually pitting, and I think he is.
And Flanger as well.
Yes.
Lopez following in second place, Silver as well. So a few of them pitting in. I wonder if Conway and Flanger, well, I'd say Conway mainly following who forgot who was Pimlot. You know, Pimlot pitted, and then maybe thought, oh, Conway probably thought, oh, okay, I should pit now. And you know, like you say, maybe with the pace, still keep in there, maybe overtake them. See, let's have to see what the pit stops are like. I will read off some pit stop times in a second once Conway crosses the exit line. We can see the difference between Conway and Pimlot. As we see Flanger already leaving. I can hear Conway's car now, I believe.
This kind of looks like Flemger didn't take tires. But no, never mind. Flemger was ahead of Conway anyway, so all good.
But I say you have to take tires to it. It's in the requirements. Yeah.
Ignore me.
Looking here now, Neil, where is Pimlot now? He's quite far back, to be fair, from Conway. So Pimlot's pit stop was a 1 minute 21.4. Conway's was a 1:17.9. Flamger's was 1:17 dead. So Pimlot and Conway is about two seconds difference, and Flamga got almost a whole second on Conway in the pit stop time.
Yeah, we can only assume that Pimlott might have just missed the box or slowed down a bit earlier than needed for the pit line. And here we have Jordan Daly going into the pit box, who, as you mentioned earlier, his only enemy at the moment is himself. And as long as he can have a clean race and not get a drive-through, I don't think anybody here has any chance of catching him. Because, yeah, 7 seconds, or probably about 8 seconds after 30 minutes is no joke. And leaving the pits. And because we don't have a lot of cars out on track at the moment, he's probably also not going to be held up by any cars that haven't pitted yet. This is Dauber in the pits. I haven't really paid attention to where he was when he pitted. Probably about the middle of the field. It's Phil Roberts leaving the track, the pits, and actually being passed. That was Flamga, right? The green Porsche. So, Phil, let's have a look at the pit stop time from Phil. And that was not visible for me. So maybe Ted, you can.
It's funny that it's not visible for me either. Now,
all right.
Phil's done some voodoo stuff, and also Jesse can confirm he does not have it on his end either. So Phil's medalled with us right there. We do not know what his pit stop time is, but from looking at the gap, what is that, 2.5 second gap? It's about the same as Flanders. I would say a 117 to at least a 117 to 118 mini pit stop. So, you know, it's nothing crazy. He's done about the same as Flamga, or about the same as Conway at least. So he's not lost a huge amount of time. But you just have to see if he can claw some more time back. But yeah, we've got five more cars to pit. Kettle's now in, so 4 more cars to do so. Curtin Malcolm, Oliver Curtin, Matthew Malcolm, Alan Asprey, and Roman Strala. Two silver still need to do their pit stop here. There's Lee Kettle in the 962 in the coming in the Ferrari. Ooh, I keep forgetting. That Jesse is in my ear and actually not on the mic this time, and it's very confusing. And you guys obviously can't hear him at home, but he is literally the same as he is on mic, so you can imagine that. But yeah, his Alan Asprey still needs to do the pit stop, followed by who are they following? That's Matthew Malcolm. Yeah, it is. So these two are close, but it's just to see what everyone else does. Once these forecasts out of the way, you can see where they end up. Obviously, Oliver was fighting with Pimlott, you know, right behind him in some points when Pimlott's trying to get past Conway, couldn't make it. Oliver got the leg up, almost getting past a couple of times as he comes in. Here's Matthew Malcolm as well. So the two silvers still driving around. Alan Asprey is now leading a lap of the race. That's something I would probably do as well. It's pretty fun to lead a lap of the race, if you don't finish in first place. You know, you got to do these things sometimes, and that race too. If you can take the lead of the race for a little bit, even though you got to do a pit stop, it's especially when you're in the lower class, maybe not as fast as these guys. You sort of want to lead a lap of the race to see what it feels like. In a way, obviously, it's not going to be the same as actually leading for, most of the race and trying to keep your pace up. But I guess it gives you a little sense of, well, I'm in first now. I've got to try and keep my pace up.
I'm pretty sure I've done that when I started out as Bowie, taking a quick detour here. And now, where did Curtin come out? It should be between Flamga between Conway and Pimlott, because Pimlott, the one losing a lot of time. And It's actually
He's in front
ahead of Conway. So
yeah.
pitting later, even though it was quite a few laps later, did actually gain him quite some time. And yeah, now Curtin ahead of Daly, not Daly, Conway.
That would be a miracle. But
yeah, I'm just used to seeing Daly in these colors, and I think a lot of times in the Lambo as well. As we see Asbury here coming to the pits now, and that would be no, it's not the last of our running cars. We still have Roman Fowler out on the track.
Yeah. Just looking at Curtin's pit stop time is 1 minute 18.1, slower than Conway's 1 minute 17.9. Obviously faster than Pimlott. Pimlott either had damage or just either missed his box and got dragged, or he went too far and had to reverse. That'd probably be a bit more time, but I think he got dragged forward and then lifted, which is very annoying. If you can get the drag and lift at the same time, that is a bit more of a bonus. But yeah, even with the slower pit stop time for Curtin against Conway, still comes out ahead with almost half a second. So can Curtin hold on? Can the Lambo overtake the Ferrari? Just have to wait and find out. Two Italian cars on the Italian track. Give me some spaghetti.
In theory, since clearly the Ferrari on older tires was still quick enough to pull a gap on Conway with fresh tires, I would assume that now, since Curtin has less fuel in the car, but fresher tires later in the race, I guess he will just be driving away from Conway, and we can already see there's a 1 second gap. And that is an SG34 speeding in the pit lane.
It is. That is. You've led a lap of the race. You've sped in pit lane. That must have been a big speeding into the pit lane there, or even out of the pit lane. Sometimes people run manual pit limiters. In ACC. Do you? Oh, I used to. Not anymore. I got lazy. But yes, it's like Stewie. He runs manual, so he has to turn it on when he comes into pit lane and turn it off when he exits. Some people have it on auto, like me, who just drive in, get down to the limit, and then it comes on as you go across the line, and then when you exit, it turns off. But
it actually had a purpose, because before, I don't know what patch it was, when they updated how strict the pit line limiter rules are. In the Porsche, because you can downshift, because it doesn't have a downshift protection and the engine doesn't brake that easily, you can downshift to first gear at like 90-ish kph and engage the pit limiter. And before whatever hot patch fix there was, as long as you're in the pit limiter, the game doesn't penalize you.
Oh wow!
So you could. I don't know if I still have the clip of that, but I went into the pits at Monza with about 90 kph in the pit limiter, didn't get a penalty. And obviously that only works if you have the pit limiter on manual.
Oh,
but don't try this at home, because it doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't work, no. Yeah, as you can see there, stopping at 30. But there is two different penalties you can get. You can get a drive-through as well, which is obviously less penalising, but you have to be just that tad bit over the pit speed limit. Sorry. But yeah, stopping at 30. That's gonna put you, I'd say, at the back of the field, which is not great, but it's just one of those things. You know, that's a lot of speed carried in or out of the pit lane, but that is very unfortunate. Obviously, that is from the game itself. No live streaming for this season of Night Owl. Should be for the next season, hopefully. But I've let the stewards have a little bit of a break. Obviously, Phil Roberts normally is the head steward of this championship, and he is now in third place, pulling out a lead over Curtin there, 2.5 seconds. Only 2.7 behind Flamger, so he's still keeping that time within range of that Porsche. But Tim Ireland as well, driving in the silver class of 141 McLaren. But yeah, so thought I'd give them a little bit of a break, and looks like they're enjoying themselves, especially Phil. He's really got some pace this season. He's improved quite a lot. You see quite a few drivers in Night Owl that do improve, and then they jump off into like either Monday champ or Friday champ. But oh, here's Steer again, the 91. Where is that? Halfway through the track, just after. So this.
No, that's
Oh
exit
no,
of
that's at
T2.
the. Sorry, that's at the beginning. I got my track map the wrong way around there. That's just after the first chicane.
That's
I don't know where that
very
Audi's
weird.
going. Oh, oh
Oh,
no,
that's Flamger.
that's Flamger. So that's gonna make the gap a lot shorter. I can see now on my other camera. Once this comes back, you'll see what is happening. Uh, if Jesse likes to flip over to Flamger just a second, as you can see on the left-hand side, that timing board, people have switched. Phil Roberts is now in second. Flamger is in third, followed by Conway, Curtin, and Pimlott. Now this is a fight for third place between these four drivers, four different manufacturers as well. Phil Roberts uh, just got a freebie there, a +1 as we like to call it in Niall. A 4-second gap there is now, and there is another replay coming of two cars that just made a bit of contact. Here is a 95 of Redford. Oh, Redford hitting the curb, spinning out. Ooh, oh, just tagging to Cena's
Ooh,
rear end. That is
unlucky.
yeah, very unlucky. Probably Redford's fault if he didn't try and get on the brakes. Does not give the position back. So just have to see about the post-race reports. The drivers will submit them themselves. They get a day or two after the race to do all that. So just have to wait and see. There they go. There's a Ferrari moving out of the way. What's that? Alan Asprey moving out of the way for the fastest drivers being the back marker, blue flag. Don't want to get in the way. You can get penalised for being under blue flags for too long and just holding other people up. Ruining other people's races is not something we condone over here. It's bad sportsmanship, but we do see in Night Owl where the slower drivers do move out of the way, which is nice. Even if they are racing someone else, they do move out of the way, which is very nice to see.
Oh, and also something that I just saw, what we missed. After Flamger, we turned from the side of the track to get back. There's the left and right combination before the hairpin, and went a bit right, kind of like what we saw just here. And because Flamger went right, Kirton had to avoid them, and that led Conway to be able to pass them again. So that's why we see Kirton behind Conway, despite coming out ahead of them in the pit stops.
Yes.
And we might see a replay of this here, and it's might be it. And in fact, yes,
hitting the curb and a bump. So yeah, that was on Flamger there. I would say hitting the curb. Obviously, you've got no control when your car's in the air, and it doesn't turn when there's no rubber on the road, and it's ended up in the side of that Ferrari there. And as we see, they're still fighting. Can Pimlott claw back? He's 1.4 seconds back, going across that start-finish line. We'll have to see what he does up to the sector time just in a second. Oh, and again, Conway just touching the rear end of the Porsche. Ferrari on the outside on the left. Can he get it past Conway? Ooh, more door banging. Yeah, too wide into corner here. Still too wide. And the Ferrari does get in front. Here comes Pimlott on the left-hand side of Conway. And he looks like he blitzes past pretty easily. He does. So Conway there loses 2 position from the little nudge on the Porsche, and looks like Flamger's getting a little bit of a lead away from these guys now as well. So it's all heating up here in Night Owl in the pro category as it is. So still 16 minutes and 45 seconds left of this race. Everyone has done the pit stop, so pit window is basically void now. No one needs to serve their mandatory. So, God, a lot happened, but Jesse is going to give us a replay of what has happened, and you just see here, Conway just, Flamger defending, Conway trying to go on the outside, just, touches the rear there, that's when he loses his position to the Ferrari. Ferrari sticks on his outside all the way up to the next corner. Unfortunately, we didn't see it just there, but we'll see some more here. But yeah, it's just all from that Conway losing two positions, the Ferrari and the BMW get past, and yeah, it's just little contacts like that and get past, and little contacts to the front end of your car can actually mess up your aerodynamics, and entering corners can be a lot different depending on where you hit it, and especially if the rear end gets hit like flanges as well. You know, pretty sure you've had some damage on the front or the rear of your cars in your time sim racing, Stewie. And even if it's like a second or two, it can affect the car in some aspects. If you've got more of a downforce setup and you're used to it, and as soon as someone hits
Or
the
a
rear end
Porsche.
or a Porsche, yeah, but someone nudges it, it gives you a bit of damage. It can affect your car slightly, but you notice it.
Yeah, I had to deal with a lot of these situations because the old Porsche was so sensitive to front and rear damage that sometimes you just had like 1 or 2 seconds of damage and it cost you half a second on the track. Here you see Kwiatkowski make a move on Kettle. Wasn't really a fight because Kettle just lifted by the looks of it. But yeah, the old Porsche, and there's the first DT by the way, was very, very sensitive to the damage. The new one, not as much, and I think there's still a few cars that can't really deal with a lot of damage on, especially in the front, because if you lose some front aero, then you lose a lot of grip in the corners. And let's hope he didn't speed, because that looked very quick.
Yeah, if you're
But
wondering at home viewers, on the left-hand side, you see that big red box that says DT. We've seen an SG30 there before, but here's the DT for track limits. And yeah, that is not fun. He was in third place, but it now drops quite far back. There goes Dolber goes past him. Will Lopez get past him? I think so. What's the 10 goes past? So there goes Lopez. Here comes Matthew Malcolm, who was nowhere near any other pros really, and it gets to overtake Flamger. So that is a +1 for him and a few more points in the bag. Let's see if Flamger can't catch back, but the 199 is already down to the first corner as Flamger exits the pit lane. So it hits you when you get a drive through for track limits. This is why you need to be careful. And I think now Curtin and Pimwatt and Conway will look at this and go, oh, I need to, I need to pass these guys or I need to defend, but I also need to not get these track cuts because look what happened to that guy. That guy was in second. Now he's in 10th.
I mean, he was in third, not in second, but yeah,
He took a
Imola,
detour.
Imola's one of the longer pit lanes. It's not the longest, but it's one of the longer ones. And I mean, luckily there's 2 silver drivers in the mix, so he didn't lose all of these positions for the standings. But yeah, 12, 30 minutes before the end of the race, that's just always very depressing for the drivers. And yeah, Pimlott, Conway still hasn't changed much here. Conway, even though like Pimlott was the driver that came from quite far back, I think like 2 or 3 seconds behind those guys fighting before, when they all lost a lot of time. But yeah, I would expect that Conway would be way quicker and now just pressuring Pimlott, but it doesn't look that way. Curtin can't really drive away at the moment. Pimlott, Conway are also not really fighting, so maybe Conway is just saving his tires a bit so that he can attack in one of the last few laps. At the moment, only following Pimlott here. And yeah, Daly at the front. We can't even see the gap to Phil Robert at the moment because he's so far ahead. And it's 18 seconds, so that's I think at the pit stop we were at 8 seconds, and now after 20 minutes we already gained 10 seconds, so Daly just getting quicker or Phil getting slower, one of the two, and the gap is growing.
Sure is. Well, some of these guys use some very nice steering wheels setups, sim rigs and all the other guff. And I know a place where you can go. Digitalmotorsport.com has all your top brands and is your one-stop shop for everything sim racing, whether you're in need for a new rim or a whole new rig. from beginner to expert. Digital Motorsport has something for everyone. They also have a sim rig builder. You can mess around with that. It's pretty fun, like a little mini game, which is nice to see, and just helps you know what you wanna, what you wanna pick out and what goes with what, and just so you can see it before you buy it, and so you're not that disappointed when you buy it and you don't like it. So you can head over to Digital Motorsport by visiting the link in the description down below. But yeah, they pretty fun, that little game. I know Jesse's messed around with a few too many hours on that website messing around. But yeah, these guys use all sorts of sim hardware from from beginner level stuff like some Logitech stuff all the way up to Moser or Fanatec and stuff. And talk about Fanatec, they're another partner of ours. The global leader in high-end sim racing hardware, from low sales pedals to direct drive faces. Fanatec strives for quality in every piece of hardware they design, and they are pretty sturdy. I've tried a few. Their load cells are lovely. Pedals are made to perfection, and their steering wheels are very, very sturdy and very nice. They got all sorts from cheaper stuff to the more high-end stuff, and they also got a package on them that you can get a steering wheel with a 5 mm base and a set of pedals as well for a good old deal. So you can find their affiliate link in the description below, and if you make a purchase with our link, we thank you very much. It helps us out with running our servers and all the other stuff that we have to deal with in the back end. But yeah, go and check Fanatec out with our link in the description.
And yeah, in the background, we've seen Conway just chase Pimlott, and nothing really happened so far. It's been about 2 or 3 laps. And yeah, no big mistakes from either of these drivers. The gaps have stayed relatively the same, except between Daly and Phil Roberts. And we're at about 20 seconds now. And ooh, that's a big slide from Conway there. So seems to be struggling a bit on tires. I actually don't know how good the new Lamborghini's on tires. I think the old one was terrible. It was just eating them up. But the new one should be a bit better. And yeah, but I mean, they're only out on these tires for about 22 minutes as he goes very right. Looking on the left side, if we see the red flag with the DT popping up, but not yet. So the thing is, even if it's not a DT yet, and that was maybe the second or third warning, it just messes with your head, because you know you can't make many more of these mistakes, and then you can't really push that hard anymore. You don't have the lap times, or you try to avoid cutting too much and then you make the mistakes. Just not good if you need to catch the car ahead, which is at this point over a second away from him already.
Yeah, just looking at that, the times between Kurt and Pimlott, 2.5 seconds. Pimlott and Conway 1.8. So tires are dropping off for Conway, maybe for a bit for Pimlott, but Ferrari looks like it's doing pretty well. But as you're saying about the Lambo, I know the new Porsche that Flanger's in, the rears can go quite low, and the fronts can grain really easily if you have too many slides where you're doing, as we call it, the bro steer, where you put too much steer on going through the corners. But I don't know about the Lamborghini. We haven't really seen the Lambo race much. Even being a new car, I wonder if people just are put off because of the old Evo version, how that got bopped, and then it wasn't really the best car to choose. You would choose the Audi over the Lamborghini any day. And seeing Conway choose this, we had a driver in who's unfortunately signed out the championship now, and they were fast. They were challenging Daly for the win in one of the races, but yeah, it's one of those things where we'll have to find out from Conway of what his tires were like, and have to update you in the next race to see see what it is. Obviously, we saw last race in for Silver Class, Kevin Boss win it in the Lamborghini. As he says here in chat, the new Lamborghini is all right in tyres as long as you don't abuse them early on. So I think that's the new strategy for the 1.9 is don't abuse your tyres early on. Get them up to temperature. Don't hit the curbs. Don't try and push your tyres too much. Don't try and not slide, and just look after them for like the first 10 minutes of the stint on the new tyres, and then you can, I guess you can thrash them around, try and catch the other person.
I mean, it's been kind of the thing to do even before the latest update. But yeah, the latest update definitely made that way more important with the tire drop-off. Like even before, you wanted to be a bit careful in the first few laps, but the pace drop-off was not nearly as immense as it is right now. And you mentioned the Porsche, and I think one of the reasons why the Porsche struggled so much on the rears, apart from obviously the engine being in the back, is that with the new Porsche, because it's way more stable than the old one in terms of aerodynamics, you can run even lower. Oh, that's a bit right there for Pacina, and maybe surprisingly, kept the car straight somehow, despite cutting all of these curbs. So that speaks to the stability of this car. But yeah, as I was saying, the new Porsche very stable with the aero, so you can run a very low brake bias. For example, on Spa, there's can go down to like 47%, and I think the lowest in the Porsche is 43, and I've even seen that, but that's more like for hot laps. And what low brake bias means is more brakes in the rear and more heat in the rear tires. So yeah, the new Porsche heating the rears quite a lot if you don't take care of them.
Well, thank you for that useful information, Stewie. As some of you might know, that we have a Monday champ coming up soon. Pre-queue will open this Monday coming, and the first race is a week on Monday. We have sparring there, so I think I am taking the Porsche again. I'm quite liking this new Porsche. Never really drove the old one. I think I drove it 1 or 2 races, and it was all right. But I really like this car. I really gelled with it, and just gonna write that down. What's that 47 on the brake bias for Spa? Thanks, Stewie. But yeah, no, it's the Porsche's lovely. I haven't tried the Lambo. I stayed away from the Lambo because I wanted to learn something different. I drove the old Lambo and it's fun. I drove this new Ferrari, but yeah, just gel with the Porsche. But yeah.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned earlier about the old Lambo just being so bad before the new one came out, so nobody really had the new Lambo, or not a lot of people had the new Lambo on the board to even be considered a decent car.
Yeah, everyone else jumped in to the Ferrari or the Porsche when we did we had a server open on the day the pack was released, and I think only a few, like 1 or 2 people chose the Lambo in the 3 races we did, and everyone else did the Ferraris or Porsches. Or if you're Christopher Verstappen, you went in the Bentley because why not? Because he loves the Bentley. But another drive-through for Pacina, 4th place in the Silver Class. That's going to drop him back quite far. And who was that? Redford. I think that was off the track there going through. Was that Aqua Minerale? So Pacina in front, Redford behind, but Redford will keep that 3rd place due to that penalty, and I think they can go around and just get a 30-second added on. Since they got it this lap, there's only about a lap or 2 left. But yeah, 30-second penalty is all it is. Doesn't matter what
think
track
it's
it
more
is.
than 30 seconds though.
Oh no, taking out Redford as well in the pit lane. Now they should be fine to rejoin. No, Pacina on the other hand, this is the wrong way round completely.
I was kind of waiting for both of them to fly off into the barrier there for the pit entry.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
What happened there? I guess Pacina wanted to turn right to enter the pit lane, and Redford just didn't really see that.
I think.
Do we have a replay of that, Jesse?
I think Pacina. I think they caught the retire on the exit curb, and then obviously it went left. They went to correct to turn right. Maybe wanted to go in pit lane as well, and it came across in front of the Ferrari. Um, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I just had a look. It was Pacina, as you mentioned, losing it on the curb, losing the rear, and then just having like a pendulum effect, and yeah,
it's
it unfortunately caught Redford there.
it's like I've been in these situations before in the car myself. Yeah, that exit curb there, as you see the cars go through. If you get that wrong and you got too much turn on, like you see with Pacina, you do lose it, and you try and correct it, and you see what happened. If there's a car behind you, you hit. But this should be the final lap, going about almost halfway through the track. Here is Jordan Daly with 21.1 second gap to Phil Roberts. Roberts with 2.3 to Curtin. Curtin got a 4.3 to Pimlott, and Harry is only 1.2 away from Pimlott there. And don't forget, Silver Class, Zorik still the 175 still in first place after all of that has happened in today's race. Still there. Same with Lopez in second place in silver, and Roman Fralla is now in third with a 5.2 second gap to Redford after all that calamity that happened at the last corner. Is now got a third place. First race of this season, joined this season. Don't think got that much practice, not too sure, but yeah, Shaw is in for a third place in silver. What a first race for them. But here comes John Daly around the last corner to take another win in the pro category. Flashing those lights. What a race by Daly that was today. My God, that man drives.
Yeah, for Daly today, this was a flawless race, I guess. I mean, we don't see how many track cuts they got, but would assume it wasn't that many. And just an easy win, I guess.
Yeah, well, here comes, well, Pacina's in the pit lane. Not sure if they're serving that drive-through, but here comes Phil Roberts. Second place for that man. Whoa, Cardew Racing doing bits out here again. What a race from Phil. I think that his best finish. Yeah, last race was a third place. Here comes Curtin with third, Pimlott with fourth, and Mr. Colmay, three-time night owl champion in fifth place. Not a bad race from him, since he doesn't race that often. But yeah, Zorik comes home in first for silver. Lopez is somewhere in the number 10. I think coming across the line round about in a second. There you go, takes home second place. Dolber takes home sixth place in pro. Malcolm will take home seventh. Flanger unfortunately will take home a eighth, but at least they finish in the top 10 after that drive-through and all that kerfuffle that happened earlier on. Here comes Roman Fralla, third place in silver, first race of the season. Only one more race to go, but still, that is a good debut race. Haven't seen them drive with us for a while, but it's nice to have them back in that M4. But here comes Redford with the damaged car. And then, where's that Tim Island gone? He's in here somewhere.
Not too far behind there, Tim Island.
Not too far. And here comes Kierkowski as well to finish off the remaining cars on track. But yeah, Daly taking home the win and the fastest lap. And Zorik taking home the win as well, which helps them with their fight in the championship.
I'm not sure what Pacina did there, because they did go into the pits, but they didn't serve their drive-through and they didn't cross the finish line. So kind of in limbo there between finishing and not finishing. So they will probably drop to the back of the grid. And if they just had taken the drive-through, I think they would have been in a better position. But yeah, that was unfortunately not too many fights here for positions, and most position changes due to some crashes or yeah, SG30s drive-throughs for track limits, of which we, by the way, have only seen 2 and not the predicted 3. However, I do think that Redford was very close to his drive-through, because we've seen him off the track quite a few times.
Yeah, very good race from everyone there. Yeah, not sure what happened with Cena, but we will find out next time round. But yeah, still got a few more partners to check off the list. AK Esports we couldn't do this without them. They're them letting us do this with the stuff they provide us with is a massive help, and they are the leader in esports management and competitions around the world. For more services, you can go to their website akesports.it, and yeah, I just can't thank them enough. Really, we wouldn't be able to do these races without them, and obviously without you guys at home as well. Don't forget that one as well. And one more to go. Well, one more to go. Go Setups provides expertly made ACC setups for all skill levels, built by some of the fastest professional esports drivers and sim race engineers. Go Setups provide both fully tailored esports as well as safer alternatives as well. Also, they throw in wet setups, which is very nice of them as well. But yeah, Daily, we know Jordan Daly uses them, and there you go, fastest lap and a win by 21.5 seconds. I think that's a good sign that you should go and get some Go setups yourself. You can either just buy a pack for a car, or you can get a subscription where you can download a multiple setups for different cars, for different tracks, for whatever you need. You can visit the link in the description to browse their premium setup shop today. Well, here we are. We've just finished Imola, and here is the first place in pro himself, Mr. Jordan Daly. How was it for you by winning by 21.5 second?
Um, it were all right, I suppose. It were a good one. It were better than the last race.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I think I've just pulled away with it, this champ. To be fair, I've been in since season 2 of Night Owl, in and out. I think I've missed the odd race here and there, but I've never won one. And I said to myself, this champ, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna push it because last champ I had a few misfortunes and yeah, it didn't go so well for me. But this time around, I was ready for it, as you
Yeah,
can
well,
see.
you held your own there tonight. Obviously, Frala had Flamga had some problems with a car spinning out, and they had to take to the gravel, which lost some time. Phil got past, and then they got into a fight with the other drivers behind. Then got a drive through for track limits. And I want to know, how many track limits did you get? Obviously, I see we saw Conway get a few, and I think maybe Phil got one or two. But how many did you have at the end of that race?
Shockingly, 0. That
Wha-
yeah, I don't know
Wow.
I don't know how I did it. Pretty crazy to be fair. Usually I'd be on my third warning for most of the race. To be fair, I think that might happen next week because next week's a bit of a one for track limits as well. But yeah, no, I had 0. I were confident in the car. Once I'd found the line, I didn't have to push it because the gap that I were already making. Yeah, I think the setups just work. You get in them, you don't have to make any changes. Go setups for the win.
Well, there you go. You heard it here. Go setups for the win. Yeah, I gotta say, go setups are really, really, really good. Just if you don't know what you're really doing, and you just want some setups to get you through some races and get you a bit competitive, it just work. And well, look at you, Daily. Fastest lap, the win, the fourth win in a row. You I would say you've won this, but Flamger can still come back. He did get his drop round today. Being it was an eighth place. He's had second place for the rest of the races, so he's not that far behind. You at this moment in time. Obviously, Phil is there as well. You never know. You might have a bad race. Um, but we just have to wait and see until next round. But yeah, you did a superb race. You just kept it to yourself, and you know
Yeah, I
just
mean, respect to the other guys though, they're all putting fast laps in. There's no doubt there. And I didn't have it right every lap, and I noticed that they were around, but I think it's just here it is a lot of the chicane, getting it right. If you don't, you lose time. You lose lots of time because I found on some laps that that's what happened. But yeah, no, it was one of those. Everybody
well.
did brilliant. Phil did brilliant as well. Glad to see him up here.
He sure did. I don't think he wants to come for an interview, unfortunately. I would love to talk to that guy, but I think a little bit cooling down at this moment in
Oh
time,
yeah,
I would
I
presume.
think I think he's very excited. He had a good race, definitely did. He held
Yeah,
his
well,
own all the way through there.
I'm glad you had a good race as usual, Daily. Yeah, you just kept it to yourself. Just have to wait until next weekend for Donington Park. Now I know that's one of your favourite tracks to drive. We drove many hours on that track, and yeah, I'm pretty sure you can take another win. But you know, we just have to wait and see. You never know. That Porsche might overtake you. Just have to
This
see
is
how your
all I'm
track
saying.
limits are there, because
Yes.
I know you get a few drive-throughs there, few races here and there, so just have to wait and see. But yeah, thank you, Daly, for the interview. It's nice to see you, and we'll see you maybe next week. You never know.
Yeah, no, thanks for letting me come in. Thanks for hosting the champs. It's always good to have Niall. I like a good late night race. Yeah, cheers. Hopefully I can get this one in the bag next week and be night hour champion.
No. Thank you, Daly. Well,
Cheers, man.
uh, got any words, Stewie, on about that race that happened here today? What's your take from it? And we never did the thing with what me and Jesse did, which was choose somewhere. We forgot to do that tonight because obviously what happened. But um, how did you feel that happened with this race?
I mean, kind of as expected, I'd say, because I mean, obviously we were cheating quite a bit because we saw the first 10 minutes of the race twice. So if you had asked me who's going to win after the first start that we had, I think it was pretty clear that Daly was quick and the others were dropping behind already. But yeah, of course, the few incidents that scrambled the field a bit, one of them, the Marvin Stier incident, in the last, what was it, 15, 20 minutes or something, that caused Flamger to go wide and then put the whole group closer together again. But yeah, apart from that, the race was cleaner than I thought, because Imola always has some interesting moments, especially in the first few corners. But yeah, it was a good race. Unfortunately, not a lot of action, but the moments that we saw were quite good.
Well, unexpectedly, we have another interview. Neil Pimlott, sir, you was on a charge tonight. A little bumps and bangs with Conway and the Ferrari that was behind you. Oliver Curtin, it was. How did the race go for you? He is falling asleep on us. Well, in the meantime, just to let you know, Pacina did finish in 15th place. Just looking here at the results, they did finish, even though they didn't technically come across the finish line and get the checkered flag. They were in the pit lane, which was very weird. But they did finish in 15th, so that was a bit of a weird one there. But so they do take home 6th place in the silver. So it is a bit of a weird one, but just to let you know, if you want to join any of our races, you can go to racerci.com and you'll see all the championships we have there. We have World Tour coming up soon in August. World Tour 2023. We have Valencia, Monza, Bathurst, Suzuka, and Watkins Glen. Get a team up for that, and you can get your pre-queue done. That is at Misano. You've got until the 12th of August midnight to get your pre-queue in. You have to do a hot stint of 5 laps. So, get a team together, have a little bit of fun. Our World Tour is always something to either you want to watch or you want to race or you want to do both. It is a lot of fun. Also, we have RCI 24 Hours of Spa one-off. That is coming up on July 29th. Not that far away, actually. 2 weekends away now, and you can get your pre-queue done. Get yourself a team again, maybe the same team that you want to do World Tour with, and get a pre-queue going. We've got a few teams that have done their pre-queue, so you can see what times the average times they have done between the lot of them, and you get your times in there. Not that long to go yet. 1 weekend after the final of Night Owl, eh? It's going to be some exciting racing. Also starting a week on Monday, that is the July the 24th, there is the Mini British GT Championship. Going to be a bundle of fun. We've got round one is 2 races of 30 minutes at Alton Park, followed by a 1.5 hour race at Silverstone. Then that's followed by another hour and a half at Donington. We'll love a bit of Donny. And then we've got Snetterton with 2 30 minutes, followed by Spa, which is an hour, Brands Hatch, which is an hour, and Donington Park, which is an hour. So, it follows the British GT from, I think, last year before they replaced Spa. I think Spa replaced this year or next year. I can't remember. But yeah, that is going to be a fun. I'm going to be in that one. And you can join along with me. Pre-qualifying starts on Monday. A day time for me now anyway. So you got a week to do a pre-qualifying, and that is going to be a little bit fun. But Neil, are you there?
Hi guys. Can you hear
Here
me?
he is. We can hear you loud and clear. And
Good.
dude, how was your race today? You were very close to Conway tonight. The three-time night hour champion. How was it to be
Yeah.
close to a celebrity? Let's say an RCI celebrity, and also Oliver Curtin. They were giving you a fight as well.
Yeah. No, it was brilliant. I mean, if I go back to sort of pandemic, when when sort of RCI was born, if you will, Conway was one of the ones. That's the name that stuck out a little bit. So to be racing him now, and competing with him on this particular lap, I'm pretty pleased with that. And Curtin's another name as well that I remember, who's been in it for a while. So I think I was just a little bit slow on my pit stop for some reason. I seemed to lose a good few seconds on that one compared to Harry and Oliver. But I managed to catch him back up. I think there was some sort of incident with Flamber, I think it was maybe. With a back marker possibly. So he sort of that bunched the group up, and then I think I was able to go past at one point there, and then after that I just maintained the gap of about a second or so, and I was counting down the laps, the minutes. I was pretty steady for like 1.6 seconds for a good few laps, and then Harry started to catch me, and I was like, oh no. And I was on 2 warnings as well. So I was thinking, just keep it together. But nearly a podium, but not quite yet. So it's just eluding me at the moment.
Well, you did an excellent race, my guy, and yeah, it just shows that you have the pace. I'm pretty sure you can get a podium next race. Just have to wait and see. But yeah,
Yeah, I think I need a little bit of luck. I think the pace is still a couple of tenths off some of the faster guys. But if luck goes my way, then yeah, definitely.
well, it was nice to have you in the box. Sorry, it's a bit short. We
No, it's
we
fine.
ran over time by about 20 minutes, I'm
Yeah,
afraid. But
I know.
next time we'll have a bit of a longer chat. But thank you for racing.
Cheers, guys.
Well, that is everything wrapped up for tonight. Got all the partners done, got the race done, which I didn't think was gonna happen, but yeah. Well, I'd like to say thank you, Stewie, for jumping in, being my co-coms, and thank you, Jesse, just being at the cameras, doing an excellent job as always. And uh, and you can't hear him, but he is shouting his head off for some reason. I don't know why. It's Jesse Lee. He's shouting Night Owl as he always does, but he just did it again. But yeah, if you like this, please leave a like and subscribe to and hit that bell to get notifications from when we go live. We try and get as many streams as we can through the championships. I think next Monday's being stream. The next Monday chance stream Stewie. I think that's you doing it, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Very nice indeed. I'm gonna be on camera. Mom, get the camera. I wish I won't need to. I'll be on the internet. But yeah, it's see, we try and get as many races as we can streamed. But yeah, well, we have Donington Park coming up for the last round. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here, but you'll have someone else chatting in your ear. But until then, we will see you next time.
Have a good night.